We will start course of community psychology. I hope through this course not only you will gain knowledge but my learning will also enhanced. Today we will learn the main theme of community psychology, so for this we first remember the goal of community psychology, that is to better understand complex individual environment interactions in order to bring about social change, particularly for those who have limited resources and opportunities. The field of community psychology has matured with recurring themes of prevention, social justice, and an ecological understanding of people within their environments. One of the primary characteristics of community psychology field is its focus on preventing rather than just treating psychological problems, and this can occur by boosting individual skills as well as by engaging in environmental change. There are two radically different ways of helping others, which are referred to as first and second order change. First order change attempts to eliminate deficits and problems by focusing exclusively on the individuals. For example, attempting to resolve homelessness by counseling homeless individuals without addressing the supply of affordable housing represents first-order change. You may help that individual, but the social problem will persist because you have not addressed all the reasons that homelessness exists. Second-order change get at the source of the problem and provide more enduring solutions for the entire community. With the help of example, we can understand difference between first-order change and second-order change. Try a thought experiment suggested by community psychologist Seymour Saracen, 1972, to analyze the educational system. Criticisms of schools often focus blame on individuals or collections of individuals, incompetent teachers, unmotivated or unprepared students, or uncaring parents or administrators. Imagine changing every individual person in the school, firing all teachers and staff and hiring replacements, obtaining a new student population, and changing every individual from the school board to the classroom referred to as first-order change. While second-order change requires to change the structure of roles, expectations, and policies about how the school is to be run. For example, teachers can use a wider range of techniques to teach and motivate all students, enabling them to become active learners. This leads to gains in their educational achievement. To broaden their skills, teachers need their own contexts of productive learning, administrative and peer support, and opportunities to experiment and learn. That will require changes in school systems, routines, and in public beliefs to support the view that every child can learn if taught appropriately. All these steps change role relationships, representing second-order change. Community psychology's focus on social justice is due to the recognition that many of our social problems are perpetuated when resources are disproportionately allocated throughout our society. This causes social and economic inequalities such as poverty, homelessness, underemployment and unemployment, and crime. Albee, 1986, has concluded that societal factors such as unemployment, racism, sexism, and exploitation are the major causes of mental illness. Community psychology has used ecological levels as a way of clarifying the differing values, goals, and strategies for intervention associated with each level of analysis. Thinking in terms of ecological levels of analysis helps to clarify how a single event or problem has multiple causes. Community has come to refer to sets of relationships among persons at many levels, whether tied to place or not. Thus, a classroom, sorority, religious congregation, online community, or cultural group, for example, the Mexican American community, may be considered a community. The most proximal, closest to the individual and involving the most face-to-face contact, are closer to the center of the diagram. The more distal systems, less immediate to the person yet having broad effects, are toward the outside of the diagram. As you can see in the diagram, some of these systems overlap. For example, some organizations, such as small businesses or community groups, are so small that they have many of the psychosocial qualities of microsystems. Consider the individual person, nested within the other levels. The person chooses his or her relationships or environments to some extent and influences them in many ways. Likewise, they influence the person. Each person is involved in systems at multiple ecological levels, for example, family and friends, workplace, and neighborhood. Microsystems are environments in which the person repeatedly engages in direct, personal interaction with others. They include families, classrooms, friendship networks, scout troops, athletic teams, and self-help groups. In microsystems, individuals form interpersonal relationships, assume social roles, and share activities. Microsystems are more than simply the sum of their individual members, they are social units with their own dynamics. For example, family therapists have long focused on how families function as systems beyond their individual members. Members have roles, differential power in making decisions, reactions to the actions of other members. Microsystems can be important sources of support for their members and also sources of conflict and burdens. The concept of a setting is important in community psychology. In this psychological usage of the term, setting is not simply a physical place but is an enduring set of relationships among individuals that may be associated with one or several places. A self-help group is a setting, even if its meeting place changes. Physical settings such as playgrounds, local parks, bars or coffee shops may provide meeting places for microsystems. The term setting is applied to microsystems and to larger organizations. Individuals in different contexts use microsystems in different ways. For example, one study at a predominantly European American university found that family support was more important during the first year of college for African American students, who had fewer peers on campus, while peer support was more important for European Americans, who had more peers available. Organizations are larger than microsystems and have a formal structure, a title, mission, bylaws or policies, meeting or work times, supervisory relationships, and so on. Organizations studied by community psychologists include human service and healthcare settings, treatment programs, schools, workplaces, neighborhood associations, cooperative housing units, religious congregations, and community coalitions. These are important forms of community in that they affect who people associate with, what resources are available to them, and how they define and identify themselves. Employed persons often introduce themselves by where they work. Organizations often consist of sets of smaller microsystems. Classes, activities, departments, staff, administrators, and boards make up a school or college. Large community organizations usually work through committees. However, organizations are not simply the sum of their parts. The dynamics of the whole organization, such as its organizational hierarchy and its informal culture, are important. In turn, organizations can be parts of larger social units. A local congregation may be part of a wider religious body or retail store, part of a chain. A neighborhood association offers a way for citizens to influence city government. Localities may be understood as sets of organizations or microsystems. Individuals participate in the life of their shared locality mainly through smaller groups. Even in small towns, individuals seldom influence the wider community unless they work alongside other citizens in an organization or microsystem. An association of neighborhood residents is an organization, while the entire neighborhood is a locality. That neighborhood may also host microsystems of teen friends, adults who meet for coffee, and parents and children who gather at a playground. However, a locality is not simply the sum of its citizens, microsystems, or community organizations. Its history, cultural traditions, and qualities as a whole community surround each of those levels. Neighborhoods are important in individual lives, and community and developmental psychologists have begun to study them. A research review concluded that neighborhood conditions, in both urban and rural areas, are linked to children's health, personal distress, academic achievement, employment opportunities, behavior problems, delinquency, teenage childbearing, and being a victim of violence. Parenting strategies that are adaptive in safer neighborhoods differ from strategies adaptive in riskier neighborhoods. Among adults, neighborhoods affect fear of crime, anxiety, depression, and sense of community. Macrosystems are at the largest level of analysis in our system. Macrosystems include societies, cultures, political parties, social movements, corporations, multiple levels of government, broad economic and social forces, and belief systems. An important level of analysis that we include under macrosystems is the population. A population is defined by a broadly shared characteristic, for example, gender, race, ethnicity, nationality, income, religion, sexual orientation, or having a physical or mental disability. Populations can be the basis of a broad form of community. However, not all individuals within a population will identify with it as a community.